Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. It is your girl Bella. So I wanted to share a story about how Jesus stopped me from having a focal seizure. So if you guys don't know me, hi, my name is Bella and I'm 15 years old and I have optic nerve hypoplasia, and I also just got diagnosed with epilepsy, where I have focal seizures, not the full body seizures where I'm like convulsing on the ground, like the typical ones you see in like Hollywood movies. And I'm a follower of Jesus Christ, and the Lord has just really helped me during this journey of health issues. It's been a wild ride, lots of emotions, accepting that I am diagnosed with this condition, just really leaning on God in this hard time of the unknown. And I feel like when we don't know what's going to happen or we don't know all the answers, it's really tempting to just like worry about, oh, what if this happens? What if that goes wrong? And it's just like the anxiety of what if it happens again. And like if you've had seizures before, you know that you cannot control them unless you have like medication or whatever. Like they could happen like out of nowhere, and it's just like you have to live with the, oh, what if I have one in front of everyone, and what if I just hurt someone or something like that. So focal seizures are only affecting a little bit of the brain, so the rest of the brain is normal. It's just the frontal lobe of the brain in most cases. So my focal seizures, um they affect only a small part of my brain. So like I could still walk around, I could still like, I'm still like kind of in reality, but like altered sense of reality, and it's pretty scary. I'm going to share one of the experiences that actually landed me in the ER for like 5 hours on October 28th, 2024. It was a normal morning. It was around 5:30 in the morning, and I was about to go in the shower. So I shuffled my playlist to go and get ready because I listen to music while I shower. And when I played the song, because I had to push play on the playlist to shuffle it, I had this weird feeling, which now I know is something called an aura or auras, which is the sign of an oncoming seizure. And it was like this weird, like, dread deja vu feeling, like, oh, this happened before. I know exactly what this felt like. And I've been dealing with these auras, these feelings, ever since I was like 9, 10, 11, but they've gotten worse as I've gotten older. So I knew what was about to happen. This has happened to me before. So I went to my toilet and I started gagging. I felt nauseous, like I almost had like to throw up. And I don't know for sure if I threw up or not, but like my vision was hazy, like my vision was blurry, and I could barely see anything, and I couldn't tell you if I threw up or not. But I will tell you that I was gagging and I felt like I couldn't breathe, and it only lasted a few, like a minute and a half, I'd say, and then I snapped back to reality pretty quickly. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna shower. Whatever just happened, like I know I've had these feelings before. I know that I've had this before, and it's probably not a good idea for me to shower. I should probably get some rest. I should probably just keep quiet. I should just probably like relax and maybe go back to sleep. And I was okay for the rest of the morning, really, but I just felt really off. Like the auras and the feelings, the weird feelings, kind of like they kind of calmed down, but I still kind of felt them throughout the morning. And I was getting ready in the morning. I was doing my makeup. I don't really wear makeup often, but I was wearing makeup that day, and I was playing my music. And then I remember putting on my lotion, snowflakes and cashmere, and I heard like perfume could like make you have seizures too, but I don't know really if that's like a valid fact or not. But I remember putting on the lotion, and then I'm like, oh, I have to use the bathroom. And as soon as I got to the bathroom, I really don't know what happened from there. I really don't know. Everything there, my memory is honestly altered. My memory from there, and like until it ended, it was like completely altered, and I don't remember exactly what happened, but I just remember I was in the bathroom. I was trying to throw up because I thought people were trying to make me throw up, because like when I have the seizures, the focal seizures, like I don't know, I'm just like in like this like weird trance state, and like I'm not crazy, I'm not like schizophrenic. For the longest time, like I thought I was schizophrenic. Like I know I'm not actually schizophrenic, but someone once told me, oh, you could never tell your parents this, they're gonna send you to a psych ward, they're gonna think you're crazy. So I just kind of shoved it down for the longest time. So when I was in the bathroom trying to make myself throw up, because I had to gag and I was gagging, I felt nauseous. And then I thought that someone was chasing me to try to make me throw up. And I know it sounds absolutely insane, but that was my mindset, that someone was chasing me to try to make me throw up. So I remember basically it was like chopped vision, like it was almost like it was like flashing before my eyes, like one scene, like I'm there, and then I'm like transported to the next scene. So I am at the couch. I kind of remember myself like being on my knees on the couch, and then like I grab my ear. I'm like, oh gosh, my ear! I'll shoot my ear, and it was like ringing. My ear was like ringing. I don't really remember if it was the right ear or the left ear, but I remember just grabbing my ear, and it was ringing. And now that I know that my mom sat me down because she noticed that I wasn't talking. She said that I was like ignoring her completely, almost like I had like an AirPod in my ear, like I couldn't hear her, but she was just like ear to me, like I did not know she was there. And that scared me because I had no idea that she was there. And I thought people were chasing me. So she turns around and she goes to let the dogs out or in. I don't really remember. And then she said that I was out the door. I was out the door. I ran out my front door. I ran out my front door all the way to my mailbox. And that's like a whole sidewalk to a turn away, like a whole block. A whole block. I thought someone was chasing me, and my mom was chasing me down because obviously she's like, where are you going? She was worried. And I kind of remember being out there. I just remember it was so bright. It was absolutely so bright out there, and it felt so dull at the same time. So bright yet so dreamlike. Like I felt like I was like in a dream state. I was like completely dissociated. I couldn't control my body. And then I remember hearing my mom on the phone with the 911 operator saying, oh, she's adrenaline sufficient. And I actually have a medical ID bracelet that says adrenaline sufficient, and it says give hydrocortisone. Just in case something were to happen, I might get another one that says epilepsy. And the reason I'm showing this to you is because I want to show people that God can use whoever he wants. And I feel like sharing my story about what happened, hopefully it inspires people to be more transparent about what they've been through, so that we could all come together and just love each other as Jesus loved us. Because I feel like we don't really talk about what we go through, and I just want to share this with you. But we're not done. So I remember I'm kind of coming out of the seizure episode now. I'm in the house. I don't know. I just remember I kind of walked in the house, and then I was transported. I was sitting on my couch. We have like this couch where it like kind of breaks off into parts. Like it's like two separate things. So I was sitting like on the edge of the couch, and I was sitting down, and I was just like completely out of it. But I could still talk. I could talk now. And I was like, oh, is the ambulance coming? Like, I was not afraid at all. I was just like, oh yeah, is the ambulance coming? And my mom's like, oh yeah, they're on their way. I'm like, okay. And I remember the ambulance coming, took my blood sugar. I was still really out of it. I was so tired. The second seizure I had, where I ran out of my house, and after that, I was tired as heck. I was absolutely tired and out of it. Like, it took me 2 days to come back from that. So they took my blood sugar. I didn't care about the fact that it would hurt, because usually me, I hate getting my blood drawn. I used to cry, I used to scream when I had to go get my blood drawn. A little bit dramatic. But I used to hate shots. So I just put my finger out. I don't really remember what finger it was. But I put my finger out, let them take it, didn't really care. And I never took my medicine that day. I didn't eat anything that day because it was early. I didn't even spray my perfume. I just had to use the bathroom real quick. And they took it, and it was 74. I don't know how I remember that. They said, oh, it's 74, which is, I guess, a little bit low. So then I remember getting wheeled out, and I don't really remember getting wheeled out of the house, but I just remember I was in the ambulance. And they put the IV in. I wasn't scared. I just accepted it. I'm just like, okay, I'm going to the ambulance. I'm going to the hospital. This is great. And I didn't really know, like, what was happening yet at the same time. Like, I felt peace. I wasn't afraid. I was just like, okay, this happened. And at the time, my relationship with God, like, I was going through a really hard time in my life. I was dealing with some depression, some worthlessness, some insecurities, and this just did not help at all. I wanted to end it all that day. I wanted to die that day. That was probably the most hardest day of my life. So we get to the hospital. I just remember waiting in the hospital bed to get checked into a room. It took like 10 minutes. I was just laying out there, just closing my eyes, just wishing it would all be over. The light was so bright, and I was just laying there. I was just like, okay, when am I going to get into a hospital room? And then I got into a hospital room, and they asked me some questions like, oh, what happened? Can you describe? And I answered them, but I still did not feel like myself. I did not feel like normal at all. I just felt so like, I don't know, like, you know that off feeling, like when you get back from something traumatic and you're not the same. Something just feels off. Something's just like really eerie and like scary, like just like into the unknown kind of. So I was just like eerie off. I don't even know how to describe it. I was just so dissociated. I was just so out of it. So I got really tired. I still felt really nauseous, like I wanted to vomit. And I just like felt this feeling in my stomach like I wanted to vomit again, but I didn't. They tried to feed me these really disgusting crackers, and I did not like them at all. I could not eat them. I only ate like one, and I hated it. And I went to the bathroom and I started gagging, and I felt like I had to throw up, but nothing came out. So I'm pretty sure I didn't actually throw up when I had the seizures. I think it was just my brain kind of tricking me into thinking I threw up, but I think it was just like nausea and like gagging. I don't think I actually threw up, but like next time I have one of those, I'm gonna not flush whatever it is down the toilet. I'm just gonna wait and see. But my reflex was like, okay, I'm gonna flush it down the toilet. So I never got to see. So I felt like I had to gag, and I was just so tired at this point. I wanted to sleep. I was tired. So I couldn't sleep. I kept tossing and turning, and then my mom asked, like, oh, do you want me to pray for you? I'm like, no, don't pray for me. No. I was so stubborn. I'm like, no, don't pray for me. Don't pray for me. Like, I don't know why. I don't know if I was, like, embarrassed or nervous or what. So, like, a few minutes later, she just took my hand and prayed for me. And, like, when she prayed for me, like, I felt so much peace come over me. I just fell asleep. Out. I was so tired. I fell asleep. And I felt this peace. And I knew that God had his hand over me and that he was watching me this whole time. And that he was never going to leave me. So I just trusted him that everything was going to be okay. Everything was going to be fine. I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know what my life was going to look like. And mind you, like, I had no idea what my life was going to look like. Like, I loved going to the park. I loved to go swimming. I'm just like, am I ever going to get to do those things alone? Or am I going to be watched all the time? like I felt like my independence was going down the drain, and I was so done. I wanted to die. So we were at the hospital for like 4 to 5 hours, and that ride back home was probably the most depressing ride I think I've ever been on. I was just sitting there like so like broken, just like, what the heck, God? Like, what the heck? Why? Why me? Why? Why? I was just sitting there like, all my independence, like, it's gonna go down the drain. My life now I'm probably gonna have to take more medication, more of this, more of that, like more tests, more MRIs, more blood tests. Like, why? And I was already struggling at the time with like depressive and like insecurities and just stuff like that. I just genuinely did not want to live anymore. I'm just like, God, I feel like I'm done. I feel like I don't want to be here anymore. Like, I don't want to live anymore. I feel like I can't do this anymore. I was tired. I didn't feel like I belonged anywhere. I didn't feel grounded with reality. I felt like I was going insane. The only thing that I had was God. He was the only thing keeping me sane. He was the only thing that I knew was real and that I could trust. So I just put all of my faith in him, and he was faithful. I put all of my faith in him, and he was so faithful, and he's just so good. I didn't know who to trust. I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know what the doctors were going to say. And I remember going to a restaurant with my family, and I was just having a full-blown mental breakdown, and I was just crying while eating my barbecue chicken wings, saying, I hate myself, I hate my body, I hate the way I look, I hate everything. I don't want to be here anymore, I don't want to live. And I remember walking out of that restaurant in the parking lot, and I was just like, I don't want to live, I don't want to live, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here anymore. And I remember going home just crying too. Like, I just said the same thing. Like, I can't do this anymore. I don't want to be here anymore. I was so done. And the weather too. It was just so like dark and cloudy and rainy. It was so dark and cloudy. Like, everything. That was the darkest day I think I've ever had. So a few days later, I still wasn't really feeling myself. It was really traumatic. I feel like it traumatized me, but I'm over it now because I feel like God has just been helping me with this. I had to get an MRI. So I got the MRI. The results came back as normal as they could, considering my condition. So I have a smaller pituitary gland, and I guess some extra brain folds, which could cause focal seizures, but we already knew that because I got an MRI when I was a baby because of my condition. So we already knew that, and we just praised God that there wasn't like any tumor or anything like that, no cancer, nothing like that growing in the brain. And my mom said that she spent the whole time while I was in the MRI machine, she was praying. And that MRI machine was so loud. It made like these annoying beeps. It was like, like in my ear. I wore earplugs. It was loud, but I had peace. I was just talking to God in my head the whole time, like, God, help me have patience because this is low-key annoying. I don't want to be here right now. I would rather be at home relaxing or something like that. But I was there, and I made it through, and it went fine. Obviously, I'm here today. So I go home, and then a week later, I had an EKG or whatever, AKG, whatever it is, and they literally had to put a bunch of stickers on my head, on my brain, on my hairline. It was disgusting, and I had to lay there, and they said, okay, you better come sleep deprived and try to fall asleep. But I guess I wasn't sleep deprived enough, so I didn't fall asleep. But that test came back normal too. Thank God. So let's go to the part where the Lord actually stopped me from having a seizure when I was at school. So I was at school and I was like in my health class and I was not feeling good at all. I was feeling like I was about to have one of the seizures. Like I was having like the auras or whatever they're called. And I was like, it got worse and worse throughout the day. Like by third period, my heart was pounding. My anxiety was so bad because I felt like I was gonna have a seizure in front of everyone. So I was just so scared. I was like, oh, I don't wanna be here because I don't wanna have a seizure in front of everyone and embarrass myself or like accidentally like run away or something like that. So when I was in my math class, like I really heard the Lord say, "Tell your mom, and I'm not gonna let you have one. I'm with you in the storm. I am with you in the storm. I am with you in the storm." He said to me, "You're not gonna have one." I seriously believe that God intervened. He intervened in a crazy way because I know what the auras feel like. I know what they feel like when I'm about to have a focal seizure. I know what it feels like, and I know how intense it could be. And they were pretty intense, but not as intense as the one I had on the 28th. And I knew that I was about to have one, but God intervened. But I still went to the nurse's office and like, "Look, I don't feel good. I'm having the feeling I had before I had the seizure on the 28th. And she's like, "Okay, sit down. I'm going to call your mom." I'm like, "Okay." So I go home, get some quiet time, get some rest, just relaxed. And I felt fine. I felt fine. God intervened. And now, before I had this seizure, almost seizure, I had a virtual neurologist appointment and I got diagnosed with epilepsy. And it was really emotional for me and my mom. We already knew that I probably had it, but just like hearing it actually said, "Oh, you're actually diagnosed with epilepsy." Like, it was not fun. It was not fun for me. I'll admit that. Like, my mindset was like, "Oh, great, another medication. I have to take another health condition. Yay. That's fun. That's really fun." Like, I was trying to be sarcastic, but deep down, like, I knew that God had my back, and I was choosing to not speak death over my situation when I could have been like, "Oh, yeah, it's hopeless. Like, oh, yeah, whatever." Instead, I spoke in faith and decided to be like, "You know what? No matter what health condition I have, it does not define me as a person. The only thing that defines me as a person is Jesus Christ. And he changed my life. So I don't care what diagnosis I have. The only diagnosis I have is a child of God in the kingdom. So that is invalid. I don't care. I don't care." So I'm on anti-seizure medication now, praise God, and it's starting to work. And I haven't had any of those weird feelings ever since, praise the Lord, those auras. And I just want to let you guys know, if you guys are going through a health situation, like if you guys are struggling with health, I really just want to let you know you are not alone. You're not alone. And it's going to be okay. Even though we don't know what's going to happen right now, even though there's a lot of unknowns, even though there's going to be a lot of questions we're not going to have the answers to, the why God's, why me, we know that God loves us and that he'll always have our back. And let me tell you, the closest I've ever felt to God is probably when I was in that ER. Probably when I was in that hospital bed laying down. Because I knew who was watching over me when I was laying down. I know he was right there. I felt his presence. I felt him when I was sleeping. I felt him all around me. And I'm just so glad that I'm still here today to testify about how good my God has been. So, even though I have these health conditions, even though I have an eye condition, epilepsy, whatever it is, stupid, whatever it is, I know that God defines who and what and where. He controls everything. So I'm not gonna try to take control. I'm not gonna try to hide it. I'm not ashamed of what I have. And yes, I face persecution because of my eyes. I face bullying, but I forgive and I try to forget. And I just feel like it humbles me. And I have hard days sometimes, but those hard days are probably the days that bring me the closest to God. And I just praise God for those days because He's always been there for me. And I just want to let you guys know that even though you guys might be going through a storm, He's with you in the storm, and He's not going to allow the waves to overcome. He's not going to allow it, because you're going to overcome. You're going to overcome. If this testimony has helped you or blessed you in any way, I want you to comment overcomer in the comments, because you are an overcomer. You're an overcomer. Even though my life has not been perfect in any way, shape, or form, I know who I am in Christ, and I know what He's done for me, and I know that He'll never leave me, and He's always going to be by my side. He's my best friend. He's my Savior. He's my Father. He's my Lord. He's my everything. He changed me. And I used to hate myself. I have hard days sometimes, but I look up at the one who made me, and I just thank Him, because He's been so amazing to me. Alright, everyone. That's gonna be it for today's video. I really hope this blessed someone. Maybe share it with someone who's going through a health issue or something like that, to spread awareness. But God bless you guys. Have a beautiful, blessed day. And remember, it's gonna be okay. Bye.